start talking about something.
Or not.
Yeah. And Cindy's probably got the most to tell us because we haven't seen her for a while.
No, don't start with me, not tonight.
Oh, that's what Vanessa said last week.
I know, I saw that.
But what a good week. What an
I know.
epiphany.
It was so amazing. It was so lovely. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Oh, well, we can talk to Goop then and see how her skiing went and see where we go.
Sounds wonderful.
We'll play at the ski field first.
Can I just say something to Fergal? Just
Yeah.
No. Okay. I always think. Okay. I'll start.
Yep. Sounds cool.
Yeah. I've had a big week and a good week. With insights and shifts and picking up from where I last saw you, maybe Ali, is maybe the skiing. I'll talk about the skiing. Yeah. So funnily enough,
he's telling us how good a stew is.
God bless.
No, he said it's. I was saying it's really not my thing, and yet I loved it, and now I'm going again next weekend. So, I know,
wow.
isn't that funny? It just, this opportunity opened up and Berg's like, you want to come skiing next weekend? And I'm like, oh. And I am.
Oh, how awesome. How awesome is Paddy going?
And Paddy's coming.
Oh, that's so cool. He'll love that.
And we have the full, like, we got given so many hand-me-downs and we have the full ski outfit for a 2-year-old.
How lovely.
Meant to be, eh?
I know. And it's actually lovely because it's all, like, it's very nice timing with, 4 years ago, Fergal and I actually got together at this ski resort we're going to. So, that's 4 years. I know. So it's going to be lovely to be there as a family, and the people some of the people we were with at that time are going to be there with us.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Oh, wow. That's so cool.
Yeah. And it'll be Paddy's first snow trip.
Yes. Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
How simple. So going from one ski trip to the next.
I know.
Just totally. So how did this one go? Obviously you could share what you observed.
Yeah. So my big insight was, and I actually shared this on Facebook, was that, whenever I used to go to the snow, because you only have such a short amount, because I'd only have such a short amount of time up there, like 1 or 2 days, maybe 3, I'd always be so focused on how much skiing can I do. And this time I was like, I spoke to Ali, I think we were texting the night before, and I was actually thinking of maybe even not going because my knee was sore and whatever. But I went, and I was so just focused on whatever presented itself in each moment, and so in appreciation of every aspect of the experience. And from driving up there, and we drove up a way that my sister had never been, and it was beautiful. And so just the drive up was amazing, and having that time with my niece and nephew. And then we got up there, and it's just so beautiful to be in the alpine area with this blanket of snow, and just in appreciation of that. Like, these are just little things, but constantly I was just like, oh my God, it was enough just to have had that. let alone the thrill of skiing. And it was all very civilized. Like, we'd ski for an hour and a half, then we'd stop and have a coffee, and they had great coffee shops up there, and the coffee was great. We're next to a big fire, and then we'd ski for another 2 hours, and we'd stop and we'd go in, and we went to lunch at this beautiful restaurant, and it was like, oh my God, like, and the food, and it just continued like that. And in the afternoon, when my niece and nephew were finished their programs, they both came and skied with me, and my sister went in, and we had so much fun. But it was interesting. Like, I really noticed with them, like, there was a few points where they said, oh, let's do this. And the youthful part of me was like, yeah, let's do it. Like, they wanted to ski with one ski.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, let's ski with one ski. you know, with the 12 and 17-year-old, and I took my ski off, and then I had this thought of, oh my God, I'm 42. Can I really ski with one ski? And I was like, and I really felt the fear come in, and then stop myself and go, oh, no, you know, go and put my other ski back on, and I'd have to, you know, there was 1 or 2 moments where I really noticed myself kicking with the thought of, oh no, I'm 42 and I can't do that.
Wow. Yeah.
Which was really like,
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really, and I was like, wow, that was really interesting. And like my nephew wanted to go over the ski jumps, and I was like, yeah, let's do the ski, like these big ski jumps. I've never done before. I'm like, yeah. And then I'm standing on top to do this ski jump. And I'm like, oh my God, like I'm 42. What the hell am I doing my ski jump for the first time?
Having fun.
Anyway, yeah, but not. I stopped myself. But anyway, so that was, I noticed that on 2 occasions with them. And then, but it flowed beautifully. We got back to the lodge, and I had heard myself say a few times, oh, I really like mulled wine. Yeah. And we got into the lodge, and someone had prepared this platter of food, and then someone else comes up to me and goes, here's a mulled wine. And I was just sitting there going, oh my God, this is ridiculous.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Yeah, really interesting. Really interesting. Really, that was, anyway. So,
no, the siren.
Yeah, I know. I was hearing the siren as well.
It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Significant point I might have to reflect over and watch this again. Yes.
Hang on. Did you guys hear a siren?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was outside my house.
No, I think it was outside Ali's house.
No.
Really? It was outside your house, Cindy.
Here I am thinking it's outside Gabrielle's and going, how's that possible? Okay. And just carrying on. And that's really interesting, isn't it? Yeah. One Zoom room, one siren, and all different perspectives, how we all can take a different perspective from where we think it is.
That's awesome.
Not one was in the same place.
And not one was right. Oh no, Cindy was right.
But I can't believe we all heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, that's awesome, Gabrielle.
Even, you know what? That's a great point in itself.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Alternate realities all in one playing out. It's at your house. It's at your house. It's at your house.
No, it's at mine.
It was clear as a bell, anyway.
Yeah.
So you're going again this weekend? You think?
So yeah, while I was away, Fergal goes to me, oh babe, there's a spot, because I was going to go this weekend, he goes next weekend. He rings me and goes, oh, someone can't come, and there's a spot now for the weekend I'm going. Do you want to come? And that was funny, because I was like, oh, I actually have organised a family lunch for next weekend. And I was a bit torn. I was like, oh, this opportunity's opened up, but I've actually organised this lunch. It's a memorial lunch for my dad, which I organise every year. And anyway, we tried to change the date because one of my brothers couldn't make it either. So we started trying to change the date and we couldn't. And so I was like, oh, well, I can't go skiing. And the reason we couldn't change the date was a lot of people were either going to be, like a lot of my siblings were either going to be skiing or they were going to be doing something else. And I was like, oh, well, we can't change the date. And for some reason, I felt like it wasn't enough for me to want to go skiing to not go. and yet I was allowing everyone else to say, oh, we can't do that date because we're skiing. And anyway, so that was interesting. And then I realised that I was getting annoyed about it. So I got home, had this amazing weekend. I got home and I was really angry. And I said to Fergal, well, he kept going, babe, what do you want to do? And I said, oh, look, I feel so torn and rah, rah, rah. And then I said, just let me sleep on it. And then, yeah. And I also noticed that I was projecting into the future going, oh, but if I'm there with Patty, it's going to be like this. And I was like, why do you keep doing that? Like, we actually have no idea what it's going to be like with Paddy. Like, but I was feeling like I was going to be restricted to where we were staying in Rara. And then I woke up this morning and I said, you know what, babe, I'm going to come. And I rang Mum and I had a chat to her and she's like, yeah, go skiing. So
That's interesting. How long's your father been gone?
6 years.
6.
Yeah.
And you do a memorial lunch every year?
Yeah. Like a celebration. Like we normally do it on the day that he passed.
Yeah.
But yeah, my sister was skiing, so we shifted it to his birthday.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
And you can't be there. That's actually quite an interesting point in itself. And the whole lot of points are actually quite interesting because you've got your meeting and there's a lot of significant points. And then for a individual human being having so many selective choices, and then the like you say, the guilt in their mind or what they think they need to be doing, and getting disconnected instead of feeling or knowing, or you're just not thinking and just allowing. Because like you say, it could be played out in a whole lot of ways. So you've allowed the process and it's just formulated.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that, Ali, because there was one point on the weekend where Sunday morning I woke up and it was really windy and I thought, oh, you know what, I'm not going to ski. I'm not even going to go out skiing. And my sister, her kids had programs they had to be going to, and so she wasn't going to leave until like 4 p.m. And I'm sitting there and there's lots of people deciding they're going to go because of conditions. And my sister said to me, oh, you can go if you want to, you can get a lift home with someone. And I had this thought of, oh no, the whole reason I've come away is to spend time with her and her kids. And here I was in a situation where they were going to be staying till 4. I was kind of like, had the option of leaving, but I had this thing in the back of my mind saying, no, but the whole intent of coming away was to spend time with them as much time as possible at the snow. And anyway, this is funny. And I took myself away and I was like, I actually thought of the conversation we'd had about Uluru and how in different moments, lots of different options opened up and present themselves as possibilities if we allow them to. And I ended up taking myself to the bathroom and going, okay, what are you doing? Like, you don't have an intent here. It doesn't matter what you do. You can do whatever you want to do.
There's a crazy lady in the bathroom. Somebody, there's a crazy lady. She's talking to herself and she's getting answers. Holy shit. Yeah.
But it was like, because I could feel myself contracting, and yet all these options were opening up to me. And I was like, I could stay and just lounge around the lodge and take myself out to lunch and coffee and whatever. And then I was like, or I could go home.
Simple.
I know. And I was like, and the other thing that did play a little bit was my sister having to drive all the way home on her own after a long day at the snow. But
yeah, it's just okay. For me, sorry, you go for it. Finish it off.
Well, I was just going to finish today. But she had her son there to help her with the driving, and I decided to go. And I got a lift with these people that had their car out the front of the lodge, which there's like 3 parks out the front that only, very limited people get to have. So I literally grabbed my bags and walked out the door. And avoided this whole rigmarole of having to get down to the car park and get the car and all that sort of stuff. Literally hopped in and got a lift back to their place, rang a taxi like 5 minutes before we got to their house, literally walked in the door at their house, the taxi pulled up and off I went. And I was like, and I got home to feed Paddy before he went to bed.
Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah. There's a real interesting, I don't even know what the word is. I want to call it catalyst, but I don't think that's right. But anyway, there's a real interesting play in, thoughts of what we think we need to be doing, playing out throughout the reality of the story, and even to the point of your father's memorial, right through to the ski field and the family and stuff, And that whole, even if you took it back to Uluru with, Fergal and Paddy, what's a written law on our thoughts of what we think we need to be doing, especially when it comes to family stuff?
Isn't that funny? The first thing that comes to me is obligation.
Yeah.
And commitment.
Yeah. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
We'd all play it, but it's just like the awareness of it and the choices, and obviously the transition in your being is shifting somewhat, because you've got next weekend blowing away your father's memorial, which you do every year, and then you blew away staying on and coming home with another person. So you know what I mean? There's some really different, the new persona that's more dominantly playing you is definitely formulating that space. Do you know what I mean?
Completely.
Yeah.
Completely. And it's funny, Ali, because I notice that when the old dominates, that I get contracted, that I feel limited.
Yeah.
And I get
yeah.
like, oh. And
so it's interesting how the physical body can give you information even when the thoughts aren't.
Yeah.
Because whatever the thoughts was probably triggering that, but hey, you can do whatever. But the reality is, in the present moment, there's always something telling us, and even to the point that you go out there and the car's right outside and the taxis in flow and all that, the simplicity of if you want to say right or wrong, which we don't do, but the vibration that you're playing is more flow than rigid.
Yes. And even things like I had to get a ticket, and my sister's like, the ticket queue's so long, and I'm like, no, I'm going to walk in, I'm going to walk straight up, grab my ticket, and I'll be ready. And I literally walked into the centre, and there was like one person queue, and this woman goes to me, hey, the guy over there in that shop, he sells tickets too, and he had no queue. And I was like, there's my man.
I love it.
Oh, you definitely. And your sister's going, hey.
Yeah, she was like, she rang me, she goes, where are you? And I said, I'm waiting for you down the bottom of the run. And she goes, what? How'd you get there?
I said to you how it's going to be, and it was that easy. How nice. That's really cool.
I know.
That's really, really cool.
And I also thought of that concept of we have it all already. It's the thinking we don't that limits us.
Yep.
And there was a few moments where, like, when I was leaving to go, Fred was like, oh, babe, I've got some skis. Why don't you take my skis? And I was like, what? What have you got skis for? He goes, because I had a thought one day that maybe I'd ski. Because he's a snowboarder. So it's really weird.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I didn't even know where he got them from. So I was like, oh, okay. And we got up there and I took them into the ski shop. And they're like, yeah, these are good skis. And I was like, I've got skis.
Oh, how priceless. Oh, that's so gorgeous.
So I didn't have to rent anything. Like, it was just,
as it was.
I know. And even with Paddy having all the gear, it's like, I was like, it's just,
Nice and easy, nice and cruisy.
Yeah.
Oh, well, obligation and commitment. I like it. That's definitely a shuffling zone for you.
Yes. And nice to bring it, bring more awareness.
Wow, that's really okay. Hang on, take it back a bit. So you had a week at your mum's.
Yes.
Previous to this.
Correct.
Okay. This is making a lot of sense. So you can see the whole storyline around the family stuff that you've created, formulated, and it's coming to a new playground and your participation and choice of playing. Because you've got, you know
what, Ali, it's really funny. Yeah, it's true. And I said to Mum, because she really, it was really lovely to spend time with her and for Paddy to be building a relationship, who'd gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was really special. And I said to her before I left, oh, Mum, I'll come back. I thought I'll come back when Ferg was at the snow. I'll come and stay. But no, listen, but funnily enough, I have to. I'm going to pick up Fergal at the end of work on Wednesday, and we're going to drive up then. And so I rang Mum and I said, "Look, Mum, I'll come in Wednesday morning and spend Wednesday with you, and we'll head up to the snow." And I thought that's so in my flow to do that, and so I still, get to see her, and yet still do the other thing as well. So I felt like
obligation and commitment's been ticked.
Yeah. I nearly use those words. Isn't that funny? I nearly use those.
Oh, I'm really moving through that. Hang on, I've just got to do this.
It's true. It's true. It's true.
But how simple. But the reality is, like, it's still in that energy zone and still in the playground and still, which is, I mean, everything always is still alive and kicking, even when we don't think it is. So, yeah.
Isn't that funny? I was thinking, oh, yeah, that's easy. I'll go and do Mum, and then I'll go off to the.
Yeah, tick that Mum box.
Don't.
Gosh, you're good. No, but generally makes for an awareness to, in that whole conversation about families, and the whole structure of whatever laid the tracks, and we're all following that, the train's on it, we're still going past those stations and we're still calling in and we're still doing what, instead of being that flamboyant, whereas, my kids tend to not ring the grandmother and just turn up and shock her because it's easier, and we're, changing the, because to be honest, I'm not the best with even remembering my father's death date, so
me neither.
I don't really it's September, because I remember, and I know my daughter's birthday was before it, and she's the 20th, and I think one of the lotto numbers was 23, because that would have been, or I think that is the day he may have died. But I could, I'm like, there's no, I just don't do it. Probably grateful for Facebook that turns up the memories, because it probably gives me a reminder. But yeah, so it's kind of interesting listening to that whole. That's why I asked 6 years, because Dad's been gone 4, I think 4. So I've never really taken that celebrationally thing. That's why I was curious to ask, because how everybody formulates with that, and like you say, celebration, yay. But then I think every moment, yeah, like me, I see him around or get signs of him around continuously through numbers. And so I think, like the other day when I was totally not, I've been quite savoury, and all of a sudden I was quite sweet, and it's kind of like, oh God, I've got to go and have something sweet. And then I sat down and I got this, like, the vegan pancake thing at Store 15, and with that nice coconut ice cream, and yum and it's cold and it's cold, and like how I am at cold, I'd rather something warm, and I'm like, I'm craving the sweet stuff anyway. And they give me the number 11, which is Dad's basketball shirt. So like that whole thing is like, I don't have a specific day or a moment or a special time. It's continuously as it turns up.
And it's funny, because I have been playing with that concept of, if someone's dead or alive, it doesn't matter. It's the same. It's only thinking it's different that makes it different. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's a cool discussion on nothing about on a ski trip.
No, it's perfect.
Really, I liked it. I liked where you went and what we got out of it, and how it's followed through from being in the environment to whatever, and even the formulation and reflection of how some people celebrate yearly and how others just kind of carry on, and but they, like me, and I don't think there's a wrong or right. Do you know what I mean? I just think there's just different ways and different plays, and yeah. I'll look forward to the next ski trip next week. That we'll follow up on how well Paddy skis. He loves it.
Mhm.
And
It's a
eating,
natural.
yeah, and we never had to feed him once because he just ate all the snow, you know. And everybody else fed him. Yeah. Oh, I must admit the mulled wine looked nice, but so did those little crackers, the salmon and dill, was it, or something? Oh my god! That I was going. Now I'd go skiing if that was there. The fire, the mulled wine, and those. I was like, that's skiing.
And you know what? I had a sauna at the end of the day.
Oh.
Because I don't know if I remember me saying, Ali, but I was like, I'm taking my bikinis because I'm finding a sauna or a spa. Yep. And funnily, where we were staying had a sauna, and no one would, like, I just went on my own. And then I ran out and was doing angels in the snow.
Oh,
in
wow.
my bikinis, and then ran back in and jumped back in the sauna.
Wow, that's so cool.
And then I saw that I saw today that something you posted, Ali, about the potential hot springs of
I was just thinking that. The hot and cold.
That's exactly what I just experienced. So you
Yeah,
can do it without going to the snow.
Yeah. Thanks. I might do that. I might do the snow angels and the hot pool, hot steam thing, and the sauna and the wine and the crackers. I think that's kind of cool. Oh yeah, and that's cool. That's really good. Oh well, before you go to sleep.
No, sorry.
No, it's all right. You're just tuning into Cindy. How's happening in Cindy's life?
What's been happening? It was quite a full week at work. I worked probably 50 hours in 6 days last week. So, and it was interesting listening to you say that, your family is what gives you the most reflections. And I've been in this play of work. And it's because I'm at work most of the time. I live with my sister. And we don't see each other that much, really. So, it was like, so this is why this is all happening. And that's definitely continued this week. Good times.
You're working so much, so you're not at home. Is that correct?
Yeah, and just that's where the playground is of reflection.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. I've never really asked for a pay rise, and I didn't exactly ask for one, but I asked for a little bit more money, and I went in there and I was really confident. I was like, this is what I feel like I'm worth.
Oh, that worthiness. Yeah.
And I've never felt like that before. And it was interesting. My boss made some judgment. It was clear judgment that was incorrect about my work ethic, and I just lost my shit. I was furious, and I said that it wasn't true. And then she offered me an amount of money. There was a conversation, and I just went, I was really offended by what you said. It's completely incorrect. And she's like, but, and then she turned it around, and if you I couldn't basically, I couldn't let it go. I couldn't let it go.
I'm glad you owned it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was interesting. The very next day, there was a conversation about our businesses moving and the setup of the area that I work in. And it just kept going round in circles. I was like, just make it fucking stop. It was because somebody needed to hear something. And I said, if you say it'll work, it'll work. And that's exactly how I felt. I had no connection to it. They needed me to say to them, yes, it will work.
Yep.
It was just that I couldn't visualize it that way, but I couldn't explain. So I went round and round, and I was just like, make it fucking so. And it was because they couldn't let it go. And I was like, this is what it felt like the other person when I couldn't let it go.
So it couldn't let the theme of couldn't let go was still in the arena.
Yeah, which was really interesting. But it was a really it was a great lesson for me to see. It was awesome.
So
and after the conversation, I was like, I need to go to sleep. I feel so exhausted. And it was just, I was just like, it was a real, I don't know, it was a good sign to say, this is why you let things go. You don't need to hold on to them.
So the relevance of what you couldn't let go, did you work out the significance that reflected back to you, apart from needing that, this is why you let go? Was there an emotional attachment to what you couldn't let go?
Like I have a really strong connection to my work ethic, and somebody questioning that.
Okay. So that's okay. So see, to me, that's So there's two different takes on this. Like there's two different.
I know there's like shit in there about me being. It's like an ego. Like I get all of that.
No. I'm not actually feeling ego at all. I'm not actually feeling that. Look, ego exists. I'm not denying that in the whole aspect of everything existing, but I don't think it's the grunt of this. I don't actually think it's the seed. I don't actually think the core of that. See, the first thing, if you go back to your pay rise and your worthiness, is like, that's really cool because that's a self-reflection. And that's you. And I'm liking the shift that you've changed, over the time that we've been chatting, that's a huge thing. What got me was, as soon as someone questioned it, it was actually questioning the reality of your worthiness. Do you know what I mean? Like, how far are you truly worthy in that space? Because now, reflectively, they're challenging that. Do you know what I mean? So if you're looking back at yourself, it's actually a reflection of you questioning your worthiness. So that So that I only got that as I travelled back. I was actually going down another field. So as I'm talking to you, it's like, I was following it. So that's where I ended up. I was actually, so I like that. That's probably the base of the seed.
I think so.
Yeah, out of one of the blooms, though, would have come the judgment, would have been your own self-judgment that she played back. You saw the judgment in her or whoever it. And then and that judgment's got nothing to do. They're actually reflecting your own self-judgment, self-worth, self-value. So I like that. And then you've got the letting go stuff, which is that whole detachment of the outcome. So my big thing is that you deliver something and it is what it is, and allow it to be. And then, for those that are obviously going to share and listen to this, you deliver it and allow it to be. The reality is, anything that we react to is ours. Even if we're defending ourselves, because at the end of the day, there's no need to defend ourselves if we know ourselves, because we don't have to sell ourselves to anyone else, And when we do that, the things slip through a lot more smoother and not so rigid, like the taxi's there in 5 minutes. You know what I mean? That sort of stuff. But I think that whole journey thing is, that you've started with the pay rise and the worthiness, and you've transitioned whatever. But to get to that point, to go back and find that all is thus a reflection, and owning that, I think that's the most significant thing you can do. It's getting out. I think my big thing we've been harping on a lot lately is about getting out of the victim playing stuff, and empowering ourselves, because victim is a depowering tool. So I
was going to say, do you think I thought I was a victim in that?
A victim, yes. I was going to say, okay. I'm just going to utilise it as a yes, as a descriptive word. Whether you played, okay. So if it depends on the word victim, as in how you would rate it in a personal experience, because as we know, everybody's perspective on a word is totally different. So as you look it up and get an understanding, my thing is that in life, if we're having a reaction and we're having an outspoken part, we're now playing into that arena, which is actually a dense area. So we're actually victimizing ourselves, if anything. and we're depowering ourselves. I think that there's a self-respect thing in saying this. Like, you're always going to have contrast. So the self-respect thing would be, you don't sit there and get abused and abused and abused and abused and abused, because the reality, understandably so, that you've created that reality to get abused and abused and abused and abused and abused. But the key is, for a space, get yourself out and reflect back to you and own it. Don't put your flag up and wave, or this is this, and how can you do this and how can you do that? Because you've just depowered all the value of who you are, and that's probably where the view of the victim stuff I'm seeing, like victim there. It's just an interesting word that floated out, and I didn't stop it. I went to analyze it. I wonder if victim has an interesting frequency in your vibe, in your experience, for me to brought that particular word up and shared it through that process. So can we just go with a feel on that?
Well, I actually in that situation, I probably in the past would have let it go and taken it really personally, but I didn't believe it to be true.
Yep. Okay, so why did you have to sell it?
Because I felt misjudged, and I felt like
misjudged.
Yeah.
Okay. So you know the transition that where I'm going to go with this, but because at the end of the day, it is what it is. I'm just digging a hole, which the reality is really simple, but we share it for an understanding and pick up what is, so at the end of the day, when in life have you ever felt misjudged before? When in life?
People misjudge people all the time. I don't think it, I just think it's a different perspectives.
Yeah. Okay. So if it's played out continuously in your lifetime, where's it come from?
No, myself, of course.
Yeah. And so the point of, as soon as we learn who we are, when we start judging ourselves, we're misjudging ourselves, really, aren't we? So everything else is everything in the world is a ripple effect of that playing back to us.
Yeah.
And so the streamline of that would lead it into a bigger scale to what created that. But the curiosity I have, and I don't blame you, honestly, I don't blame you for selling yourself and getting your point across. You can do that. You can sell your story without a reaction, energy, vibe attached to that, like emotionally. Did you feel it was driven with emotion and a need, or did you speak from an awareness?
It was definitely a reaction, like I was furious. Yeah.
Cool. So what I'm saying is, what I'm showing you is multiple playgrounds, multiple realities. I do believe that you can speak up and share without the need of, that feeling, and that's what's driving you. Because at the end of the day, when we put that back into the energy field, what are we going to create more of? Go for it. Share your point.
I suppose this situation I feel like was different because somebody was saying, this is what you do without any background information.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
Yeah, but there's still a reaction. You could have delivered that without a reaction. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You could have just say,
and
where did you come? Where did you come to get that understanding of that's how I am, instead of how did you answer it?
no, I don't.
Mm.
That's not true. And she made, like, they were kind of fairly wild accusations.
Yeah. So the curious thing is, when you become comfortable with the more, the new overrided self, so we'll call it, when it becomes more a playground, the interaction into the field of a bit more dramatic play becomes more smoother. So you trigger the questions, and it gets them stimulated, and it drops their attack zone, and it kind of filters down, and you can meet on the even playing field to come to the resolution. So if you understand what I'm saying. So like, it's the questions that I give you, if I'd given these questions 10 years ago, people would slap and wouldn't want anything to do with me, because they don't want to deal with themselves. Today's world, I can deliver exactly the same question, and people are just wanting to hear about it because they want to know more about themselves. So it's the transition of words and how we use them, the framing and everything is a lot more acceptable today than it was even way back then. But it comes down to what drives us behind the emotion, and then into the words, into the playground. So if it's a defense and an advocate for something, you might as well pick it up, and like, it's like saying, we want more of this, we want, all the people outside with their little, and the first thing they're going to do is go into defense. Whereas you could have, I think, if you can get them curious, take a breath, because you're worthy. You're worthy of the pay rise and everything else. And I know this is a past tense because it's already been played out. I'm saying if this become a play, the reality would be, wow, where did you get that information from? So all of a sudden she's got to provide the understanding of her backing, and that gives you more understanding of how she's come to formulate this. And then it's, oh, that's not how I see it. This is how I think I'm whatever, and you're owning all this, and it's taking it away from the person instead of saying, no, you've got that wrong. Do you see what I'm saying? And you've pulled it back to you. So there's no, and all those things just filter away. It's just a play of words. And so with that, it empowers you, and it doesn't depower you, and it gets you out of victim into, that sort of space.
Yeah. So probably in the second conversation I had with her, when I went to her and said, I was offended by what you said.
Yeah.
And asked for an explanation.
Yeah.
I got the explanation, and I was able to say, like, I kind of went, I don't understand what you're saying, and I got the explanation. It was probably coming from more of a, it probably was less reactive.
Yep.
It was more, help me understand where you've come from.
Yep. Okay. So what I'm observing is
that
what I'm observing is the playground shift. So you've walked away, which I've said to people if they're in the turmoil, or go to the toilet, have a breath, whatever it is, because you're actually not in that space. Well, you're in another alternate space of your playground, and it's quite fiery, so it's better to get the breath and come back in, find that peace space. And with that peace space, you're more open, and you're more ready, and you're more settled without that scratchy stuff. The funny thing is, it's all to do with your worthiness was challenged, and you were standing up for your worthiness, and as much as I'm sitting here saying, yay, because you have come to that place, there's still stuff that is filtering through your system that is playing itself out through this experience. And it's like Gabrielle with the family, as is you with this, and it's as is me with something else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all the reality. But I think we must understand it had nothing to do with her judgment of you and the way she did it. That was all a reflection of you.
Yeah. And you know what? It's the first time that I've been confident in saying, this is what I want.
Awesome.
So I'm not surprised that there was all this other shit that I hadn't dealt with, that that was still there, because it was just
beautiful.
like, that was the first step to go there. And then, of course, I was confident. And then because it was questioned, I felt. So it's really clear to what happened.
Yeah.
But it was really powerful for me. Cool. And it's also a big thing for me to get angry. Like, I never used to do it. It's pretty new. And it doesn't. It lasts a minute. But
yeah. And that's the reality if you don't camp in it. And acknowledging its expression. But you can even say, I feel angry about this. And the whole thing is, as soon as you acknowledge you feel it, it's almost like owning, oh my God, do I want to play here? Do I want to stay here? Okay, I've acknowledged you. You're there. Do you want to hang around? Because, anger's got a time to play as well. So I think,
Yeah, I pretty much, I'll put a label on it every time.
Yeah, good on you.
And yeah. So it I think it's kind of, I think it's a good thing for me to have it rather than suppress it. I probably would have in the past. It was
that's
like,
what I'm getting.
I didn't like it, so I didn't want to have it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting is you're allowing all of you to be present and one not dominating the other, which I think is really healthy. I just think that whole experience, even though we dug deeper than we needed to because you got it straight away because you've done it so often. But I think it's good to share the process and understanding that there's so many variants of this one experience, and we've gone, the more the story becomes, the more the story gets. At the end of the day, we had it right at the beginning. You went for a pay rise because of it had to do with your worthiness. That's where the story ended. The rest that played out was, the judgment she showed. And so you got a whole thing about letting go, and then you got her stories and how she got the and the reactions and all that. That's got they were all other stories. As soon as we look outside ourselves, here comes another story, here comes another playground, and you can just keep. They just can keep on coming on every arena and every. And I think it's really good to know that that's what life is in reflection. But I think the simplicity is that you got it bang on tonight, and the awareness, because I saw your eyes just go bang, like, oh my God, I get it as soon as I went there. And that's not where I was going. I was going for a good journey, but anyway, that was too easy. too easy. That's cool. So work's good then.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure, and today I was quite anxious at one point where I was like, I feel really stressed. Like there's so much freaking work.
Yeah.
But I'm loving it. By the end of the day, I've calmed down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we've got a bit done. There's more to do tomorrow, but what can you do? But it's good. It's good. Yeah. But it's
you
definitely.
Might need more people in your team, Sydney.
Yeah, maybe.
What's that? Sorry. I said she might need more people in her team.
We lost a staff member, so
okay.
So but that was a positive thing. But now we're just under the pump. It'll settle down next week. It's just it is what it is.
So what's your Gabrielle, what's your feedback on any of that? Did you grasp anything in that?
Yeah, no, I thought that was good. Did I grasp anything? I think it's similar to, I feel like that's one of the standard processes of, when something comes into your reality and you have a reaction to know it's all about you. And just to acknowledge that and kind of see what you're trying to show yourself. So, and I feel like you got there with Cindy.
I think the whole thing is I was just thinking as you're speaking, it's just that coming to peace with that reaction too. It's like, okay, I've reacted without even firing into anything else to feed that reaction. You've caught it so before it's getting further away and making 10 stories instead of one. And I think that's the whole thing, that you're feeling the grit in your tummy, you know, that stuff, or the tension in your body, and it's like, okay, you know, and those trigger points come so quickly and so clearly that you can't actually formulate that next move into that playground and stuff, because then there's awareness, and then like I think I've done before, we get so far in and it's like, oh, come on back, because I know I'm playing here now. And but I think like with Cindy's version, she got so many little gems out of it, like, you know, the letting go, you know, the worthiness, and, you know, looking at herself and reflection and stuff. So there was lots of value, like you said. Yeah. But I think it's very similar. Like, I think what we've been saying for weeks is that everything's the same. So it's the same with what Gabrielle was saying about family. It's the same thing, different, just a different playground. Family, work, you know. No, that was cool.
It's
So
funny. I had a similar thing. Just that concept of having a reaction. Today I was just following on my tax theme. I was talking to my accountant today. Well, I rang the accountant's office to speak to the accountant, but he wasn't there. And I just wanted to understand, because, you know, I've agreed that I'm going to pay the tax, and we've agreed on methodology and all that, which is it's all fine. But I wanted to understand something about it. And the accountant is out of the office till Thursday. And I wanted this woman who I know did a lot of the work behind it. I wanted her to help me with something, and she was like, no, I can't help you. And I was like, oh, this is really interesting. And I just thought, I'm not going to get anywhere with her. And so I said, thank you. And I hung up, and I burst into tears. And I was like, oh, this is really, I could hear myself going, this is really interesting. I wonder what I'm trying to show myself. And then I just took a breath, and I thought, no, I can work this out. And it was just that I was trying to understand how he got to the figures he got to. And I did a bit of Googling, and I actually was amazed, but I worked it out. And I was like, I know. And then I rang her back, and I said, oh, you know, I'm so excited I worked it out. And she was actually really lovely. She's like, I'm really glad you worked it out. She goes, I really don't like to provide advice because, you know, the accountant is the one that signs off on it, and I never know really what he's thinking when he finalises the numbers, and I don't want to ever give the wrong advice. And I thought, that was completely fair enough. But
yeah, you weren't open to hearing that at the beginning, but that she could tell you in the end.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad you've come to peace with that tax paying. Oh, we paid our tax today, LGST today too, so must be the day for it. But I kind of, I've noticed the shift. So Murray's used to be quite around that, the whole thing about that, but ours is very much, oh yeah, whether we've got the money or not. Oh yeah, okay, it needs to be paid. Yep, okay, sorted, done. Forget about it.
Yeah. Yes.
It's definitely got a lot more smoother than it ever used to be, and I think that just comes down to your mental attitude towards it too. You know, like it's what that whole thing and that whole experience is like. Even the need to understand it. You know, you've given your faith to an accountant, but you still don't trust him, and you still want to squeeze every single dollar out because you know that's, and so, you know, even that playing in reflection is funny. Do you know what I mean? Like, but we all kind of, everybody thinks about, whereas I'm with New Zealand, I just send it off, give him the things, and then wait for him to give it to me and pay it. You know, it's kind of like, it's kind of like, I don't even think, mind you, I think he's a great person, and he's done my account for years, and and it's like, oh, when I get there, I'll get it done, Ellie. Yeah. And I'm going, no hurry. It's all good. Doesn't need to be paid till February next year. Let me know when we get a figure, you know. It's like.
It's funny you say that, because there was a little, like, there was part of me that actually really, like, I do actually like understanding it, which I think is, you know, maybe that's, like, I do think maybe that's, like, I've got a commerce degree and I've got an accounting major, but not that I've ever used it. but I also can see that there's a control, like there's a
I know there's a significance of label too. You know, I've got a such and such degree, and I've got a whatever, so I should know all this, and I do know this stuff. Really, yeah, you do, but does it matter?
Yeah.
But is there freedom in knowledge?
Yeah, but what I'm saying doesn't matter.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, that's your choice, really, isn't it?
Yeah. No. But we were talking
But,
about. Yeah, we're talking about labels and things a while back about that having a need for a label or having a need for a sense of purpose, and why do we need to sell it to the world, and why do we need to say what like we said, when we come in and we leave and whatever. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it when people sign off on emails and they'll have these extravagant made up titles, and it's like, really, do you have to write that? Can't you just write your name? But if that works for you, good for you.
Well, my girlfriend said to me on the weekend, she said, Ellie, have you ever thought of studying, doing a bit more study on the mind and, like getting, so stuff? And then I thought, oh, no, I did study some papers, and I did 15 of them, and then I stopped doing the rest, and for psychology stuff. And then I said, but you know what? I don't study to me. At the moment, this is where I'm at, and who to hell where anyone else is at, but for me, it's like, I'm just curious and finding out just by being like, and what triggers and whatever unfolds and whatever. So I think we were hitting on this just before about, the guy who wrote Biology of Belief, and he's written out something lately, and I was going, fuck, that's what I said years and years ago, and finally fucking science has caught up with my, wacky thinking. Like, seriously, dude, that's really quite cool. And I'm on this trip at the moment of like getting this really insights to this some really, really like weird shit. And but it's like that point of interest. It'll be like 10 years time, someone will write about it, and I'll go, oh yeah. But do I need to, or do I? It's just my curiosity that I like and I play in, but doesn't. And I always think that how you walk the world, can become the world. So what you put in is what allows everything to play. So if you can learn it without having to have a degree or whatever, and you can just talk shit and it's actually pretty good shit, then so be it. That makes it possible for someone else to do the same thing, and without the stress and need to have a PhD and a friggin' whatever else behind their name. But then you've got the son that thrives on that sort of shit. So there's always going to be, that's their playground. The intelligence is a playground. If they want to play in it, so be it. My playground's in the curiosity of nothing. And how do I come to that? Yeah.
That was great. I mean, that was great. That was great. And I can even see at one point I was like, yeah, this is what I was really identifying.
Justifying that degree. I've done all that work. Oh, so.
It's true. And even I heard my mum say to me today, she said to me today, I've got a law degree and I should know this. And then here I am saying the exact same thing.
Cute.
Mate, if they had a degree for motherhood, I could claim one of those, but there's nothing like that.
Oh my God, nothing. So I have an interesting thing that happened today.
Yeah.
That I'm curious about both your perspectives on. So I went to mother's group or whatever I do, play group, and
what is mothers? No, they got no degree. Come on. Yeah, no, okay.
So I'm at play group, and one of the mums goes to me, how did you find the music class? And I said, oh, well, I've decided not to do the music class because I felt like it was too structured. and she was telling me how her daughter's doing some dance class. And I was like, oh, maybe Patty could do a dance because we love dancing. And she started telling me about it. And she goes, yeah, they have to stay in this line. And I said, do they have to stay in the line all the time? She goes, yeah, they have to stay in the line and follow the moves. And I said, is there like free form? And she's like, not really. And she was annoyed because her daughter kept running up to her and then running back to the line and then running back up to her mum. I know. And then the mum goes to me, I think it's good for her to learn to stay in the line. And I was like,
are you going to follow suit for the rest of the world? Just stay in that line. Whereas Patty's going to run all over the fucking place.
thought, oh my God. I said, I don't know if that's good for them. And she looks at me and she goes, oh, you're into that hippie love stuff, aren't you? I thought,
Hippie love stuff.
Yeah, and I thought, isn't that interesting? And then I was like, wow, and then I was having a conversation with Cara, and I said, Cara, like, I think that
hippie love. Sorry, I'm still giggling at hippie love. Oh yeah, no. Okay.
And I thought to myself, you know, with the music thing, it was about I didn't want Paddy to have, like, Paddy wanted to play the instrument, but it wasn't his turn, so he wasn't allowed to play the instrument.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, oh, so I did, you know, I was like, I don't think he needs that sort of structure. Like, if he wants to play the instrument, surely he can just play the instrument. And I thought, and the woman's like, but it's good for them to learn to wait. And I was like, but if you never learn to wait, does that mean you'll never have to wait, because you'll never have a belief in the need to wait?
What did she say?
No, I didn't go into that. When she said,
I wish she did.
I think in awareness, it's not, I don't believe it's not something you won't learn. I think you'll do that naturally. I just don't think it has to be structured into a way of being. Like, I kind of, look, honestly, because you mollycoddled 3 of them into controlled little robots and don't do this and I think I was controlled into that. So, and then you got Tyler with that semi-controlled into it, but not quite. And I notice he gets very outspoken, gets his point across, and does whatever he likes to do. And he, but then he turns around and he kind of knows. He says to me, you know, I like to get my point across, you know. But the awareness that he knows what he's doing, I think that reality is owning it. But I still find him polite and all those other things, and which have been picked up along the way. I think that's an environment stimulant. I look at some of the things, because sometimes he goes, oh God, I think I'm like you and Dad, and we haven't taught him any of that. So it's an environment stimulant. If you're polite and nice and stuff, they adopt that around them. And that whole treatment of, I think what you're saying is the freedom to play at 2, for God's sake. Like, seriously, dude, at 2. We're really looking at formula and structure of how we start controlling humans from a very young age, and then we get to 50 and think, what the fuck have we been doing? Like, seriously, we want freedom, and here's the 2-year-old showing us this is what we want, and we're saying, no, don't do that. But by the time we get to 50, we're like, fuck, that 2-year-old's onto it, eh? Like, seriously? Yeah, I think that's just a bit of so I think it's a really great topic of discussion, though, Gabrielle, like, especially because you'll be going through it. I can sit back and watch now. Thank fucking God. But I don't know. I just think that whole control. It comes into that control formula.
And I'm sure there's some dance classes and music classes that are kind of on the principle of that hippie love stuff around. So maybe you could find one of those where it's not so structured.
Oh, that hurt when she's swallowing that. The hippie love stuff. That's what.
Yeah, maybe. Because
structured. Sorry, even thinking and labeling it hippie love, which is really funny, because if you think differently, it's hippie love. Seriously. Oh God.
I know.
I'm going to get a shit. Yeah, going to get a shit. I think hippie love. Yeah.
The hippie love life. I have been to a music class, not that I have children, and the kids just did whatever they wanted. They played with whatever they wanted. They did, you know, like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
They're babies.
You know, I'm sure, like, if we need it, it'll come.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that even being at the class, and not that I had a huge reaction, but I just noticed it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so grateful for that awareness, and that I
can
go, oh, okay, well. And
as a sit. Yeah.
And the fact that Paddy tried to leave twice, and, you know, just that and go, no, okay, maybe we don't need to do this. So, which is, No,
that's really the wisdom of a young kid knowing that this doesn't suit me. I know. Yeah. The formula of the parents: you stay here till the end because we're here, and this is what we do, and this is and I did that with my kids in sport. You can't leave it through the year. You got to stay, do the whole thing. And I got to Tyler, and he was bloody picking daisies and pole dancing at a soccer field, and whereas my other kids were quite competitive, so I'm like looking at him thinking, what the fuck? So I said to him, like, seriously, dude, are you enjoying this? And it's kind of like, yeah, because and I said, are you playing it because your brothers and sisters played it? And that was more the relevant question. And so my next question was, do you enjoy this like you enjoy drama? No. And I said, well, what the hell are you playing it for? And I stopped halfway through a year. God, that was just a no, you just didn't do that. And I brought all the others up that you had. Once you start something, you got to finish it. No. And it was the best thing I ever did. Probably for me too. I'm watching, you know, pick daisies, pole dancing. I tell you. Murray made a game up for him and said, it's you chase, whoever's it chases the ball with one of the teammates, because there was two of them that liked to pick daisies and do whatever they were doing, and so they were, and he said, you and that someone has to chase the ball, and that person's got to try and catch them, and they're chasing the ball. Well, one week, the next week they come and they were playing this game, and one of the parents go, wow, look at those kids. Haven't they changed? Murray said, yeah, I gave them a new game. I was just like, oh, but it was gorgeous. It was, we look back and laugh now, but how we don't listen, or we don't look, or we don't, or we've got this structured way of being that we've been processed through, and then we try and chuck it out onto our children and make that theirs. But like you said, the wisdom of a 2-year-old, so I don't want to be here. Yeah. Hey, and look, honestly, people could say, oh yeah, well, he's never going to learn this and that. How do you know? How you can't. And that's what I've eat my words 10 times over, because the way I brought Tyler up to the way I brought the others up, and he's done okay, and he's like, seriously, I think he still cares enough, and it comes to an environment influence, what's around him, and the respect, and also just depends on the discussions you have and how open you can be, I think. And like if they are confrontational discussions, it's like having, like what you've said, Cindy, with your worker, that's the same sort of confrontation you could end up in your house. So it's how do you ask the questions? Are we buying into this, and start looking at this, because it's only presenting because it's us that's involved. It's and so if your children are doing it back to you, just as the work would be doing it back to you, just as everything else. So wow. For three little people.
I love what you said there. I think you picked up on it resonated strongly for me, was doing things because the other kids have done them. And being the youngest of 5, I know that I did lots of stuff because the other kids did it.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because it was what I really wanted to be.
Yeah, I mean, if I had it my way, the kids all would have played basketball. There's no way they would have played soccer, but that's okay. And I think the funniest thing is Heidi, my middle child, she was the one playing soccer that got Chrissa out of netball and Braden out of that small rugby thing, that whatever it was back in the day, and they actually converted. So she converted them into soccer, and they did quite well. So they've actually got her to thank, because they could have been bloody, oh my God. But none of them played that what we'd enjoy. And it's just being a parent and allowing the child to have that. I would personally want it in a hall where you're dry and you can sit there for 20 minutes each way and go home, whereas not stand outside in the cold in an hour and it's freezing bloody cold in all weather, watching a ball and one goal may be scored. Oh, for God's sake, no. But that's but at the end of the day, you meet a lot of nice people, and it is what it is. So and it's and there's this game, it's even with cricket. Why would you don't get your children to play cricket? But then if they love it, do it. At the end of the day, and I think that's it. It's just listening and not, and it, if they it's just not worth, because a lot of parents play through their children. And but it's been done to them, so that's their understanding and way of being. So I look forward to him being a drummer and a singer and a whatever else. He's got the groove. He's got the groove. He doesn't need to go dance class. He dances out in blimmin'
No.
out in cafes and all sorts of things.
I know. We're having such an awesome dance tonight. I was
Yeah.
just like, oh, it was so much fun for both of us.
And being away, coming back and being away. How did that feel?
Coming back and being away.
From
As in-
just time out.
That was great. It was great, but it also didn't matter. Like, it was funny.
Yeah.
Like but it was lovely.
That's cool.
But it didn't it was yeah.
No, that's really cool. That's good, because it's a lot what mothers don't do. I mean, I was one of those mothers that didn't do, so I get that's why I asked you. So it's really important.
Yeah. But it didn't actually feel like a huge difference.
That's good.
Actually, not reflection. It was like, I wasn't like, oh my God, I don't have a baby. Like, it just wasn't, because it's not like that for me. Like, it's not like that for me.
No, you're definitely a more I don't even like wording it, but I'm going to utilise it as an evolved mother of time compared to, and it could be the wisdom of your life that you've been through, the aged, whatever. You could put it down to a whole lot of concepts, and it really doesn't matter. It's just a different way.
I think it's hippy love, mate. I think
it's hippy love. It's, and that seems to be the new way, and that's what's disrupting the older people around us, is because the children have a lot more freedom and a lot more space and a lot not controlled, and they're just showing us that this is actually okay, but we've come from a formula of very much controlled environment. Anyway, Chick, how are we doing?
It's about, I think it's just after 9. So, it's 20 past 9.
Man, I feel like we've talked nothing, but that's okay. We've done well talking nothing.
Yeah, I think there's some good ones in there. I think.
And
you know what I realised? Because I feel like I haven't shared a lot recently, but I really realised that just that whole commitment, like family thing, how I went to, I saw it, but then went to cover it up. So it's really funny how it was like I was trying to protect myself, when really when I was trying to protect myself, it was like, from what? Like trying to hide it in some way? Anyway.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
Yeah. You're talking about our chats?
No, I noticed that when I went to talk about the fact that I was going to be seeing Mum again on Wednesday. That was okay, and that was in my flow, that I wasn't holding it as an obligation commitment, but actually I was, and that I was trying to cover it up as not being one.
I think when we go back and you listen to it, you pick up a lot of awareness in your own self, and that's the beauty of watching yourself. Because what I'm sharing with a girlfriend today, and it was very viable, is because she works in some deep stuff as well, and I said, so how does a person present themselves to you, and or covered over whatever process, however. And I said, and so they present themselves in private to you in this way, and then they'll go and portray a different person to this way, so which is dominating and which is the core, and you're getting the imbalances and stuff, and I think that's what, when you get to look at yourself, only you know, nobody else knows, only you know, and you can pick up the frequency differences in the, I didn't actually, because now I feel that different. Or you know what I mean, and I think that's the luxury of the videoing.
Yes, definitely. But even in the sharing, Ali, because I was able to witness it just because I was sharing and go, that was interesting that I went to do that.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't,
I look at some of the stuff I say, and exactly the same. I go, and each time it's, is it having a fit? I think we've discussed on so many different things, yet they're all the same.
Yeah.
But seeing ourselves in so many different plays and different roles and different experiences, and like Cindy and you both would go back and reflect from 1, 2, 3 to where you are and what was she now, but we still can catch it. That's the whole thing. Everything has a right to express itself, and sometimes we do, and sometimes we do so well to formulate a cover that we too can't see it.
Yes. Awesome. And I do wonder with the sharing whether that actually helps you to see it as well.
Yeah. I think
in the moment.
Yeah, I think having it here and then being able to reformulate it and share it is cool. And I think everybody else, because we've definitely, especially the girls in the group, are actually following and looking, and they get their own gems, and they go, oh my God, I got this, and it matches something, and it's just like, so that's why the importance of sharing the story, especially like where we went with Cindy, even though we know she get, oh my God, yes, I've just visited there, and she's got it like 5 minutes, but we'll go into 10 minutes of conversation. For the reality is that would be somebody else's understanding to get to that point.
Yeah, awesome.
Well, thanks for sharing and enjoying the kappa, and trust that the new worker comes along pumping full of energy for you, Cindy. And
there is no worker.
Well,
maybe there is, Cindy.
Maybe there is. We're just
we
are putting one out there for you, one that totally.
We're kind of okay. We'll get there.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it the way it is. But if there's one out there, welcome.
So be it. Yeah.
Who knows what will happen?
We'll check in on you next week and see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay, love.
Okay, have a great week, guys.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.